Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Watsco Center on the campus of the University of Miami in lovely Coral Gables, Florida. Thanksgiving is in the books. It's time to get back to basketball, and we've got a big one for you today on ACC Network Extra. Alex Schwartz and Megan Parody coming to you live on ACC Network Extra. A top 20 matchup between the Miami Hurricanes and the number 7 Oregon State Beavers. This is going to be a fun one today, Megan.
Absolutely. We have a big game, two great teams in the house, so I'm really excited about this one.
Both teams featuring All-America candidates, including a pair in the backcourt for Oregon State. Mikayla Pivec, a name to watch for Scott Rueck's club.
Well, Mikayla Pivec is the do-everything guard for Oregon State. She really is the premier bucket getter for the Beavers. What I like about her game is she's so dynamic. You can see she can score off the bounce. She can shoot that ball with range from the three-point line. And even more than that, she just gets busy on the offensive end as well as on the glass.
Meanwhile, for Miami, preseason first-team All-American, preseason ACC Player of the Year, Beatrice Mompremier.
Well, Beatrice Mompremier is the primary interior scoring force for Miami. What I love about her game is how she's expanded it. She's actually starting to shoot from the outside, the three-point line. She's a threat, as well as how she operates on the interior with her back to the basket and attacking the glass. She's going to be a major factor for the Miami Hurricanes this afternoon.
Miami native coming off arguably the best game of her illustrious career, 31 points and 18 rebounds at DePaul. Some other names to watch today: Kelsey Marshall, junior guard for Miami; Taylor Jones, the freshman forward for Oregon State.
Well, Kelsey Marshall is having herself a season. I love what she's been doing in attack on the offensive end of the floor, shooting about 39% from three. And then Taylor Jones on the inside for Oregon State, a player to watch, as just a freshman averaging 16 points a game, 6 rebounds, a dominant interior force for the Beavers.
The first ever meeting between the Miami Hurricanes and the Oregon State Beavers is underway. Hurricanes and the home whites win the tip. Oregon State in the road blacks on defense. Mikayla Gray coming off the second scoreless game of her career, directing the Miami offense.
Well, Mikayla Gray, as we know her as a shooter and a scorer, and so streaky at times, but I think this will be a bounce-back game for her.
Here's Pivec, talked about her in the open. Does it all for the Beavers. She scores, she rebounds, she passes. Aaliyah Goodman, three ball is off the mark, rebounded by Taylor Jones. That front court for Oregon State has its hands full with Beatrice Mompremier, but there's some big names there for Mompremier to deal with as well.
Well, a good start on the defensive end for Miami, getting the stop with the turnover. Miami's going to have to continue to commit and be disciplined on that defensive end. And then on the offensive end, move the ball and make the bigs. That interior really has got to work for Oregon State if Miami's going to have some success.
Mompremier, Gray, and Marshall joined in the starting lineup by junior guard India Banks and freshman wing Milena Johnson, Sidi Baba. You talked about it, Megan. Mompremier shooting the ball a little bit better this year, right on cue.
Well, and speaking with Beatrice Mompremier a few games ago, I said, you know, how do you want to grow? How do you want to continue to get better? She said, you know, I want to expand my shot chart, and she's doing a heck of a job doing that so far.
Three ball from Kennedy Brown is off the mark. Oregon State starters Mikayla Pivec, Aaliyah Goodman, Destiny Slocum, Kennedy Brown, and Taylor Jones. Here's a three ball from Mompremier off the mark, and Oregon State will push in transition. It's Aaliyah Goodman, the junior guard from Milwaukee, Oregon. Yes, there is a Milwaukee in Oregon, I promise. Pivec's first basket of the game.
Well, Mikayla Pivec, the senior guard. What I love about her is her motor, and we talked about her rebounding. She averages 12 rebounds a game as a guard, the leading rebounder for the Oregon State Beavers. That's impressive.
13th in the nation in rebounding. She has paced Pac-12 guards in back-to-back years on the glass and is not surprisingly atop the list again this season. Mompremier called for an offensive foul.
And that's something we're going to keep our eyes on, Alex, the foul column, because, of course, the importance of Beatrice being on the floor from the Miami Hurricanes. We got to continue to keep our eyes on that foul column.
Defending Taylor Jones, the much ballyhooed freshman, picks up her dribble, trying to find someone to pass to, and finally does indeed find Pivec. Here's Goodman. A cut back to the left, picked up by Sidi Baba. Open three in the corner from Destiny Slocum is good. It moves her to 996 points in her college career. Sidi Baba off to Marshall, can't corral the pass, and Oregon State comes up with it. Numbers the other way. Slocum with an uncontested layup is good. 2 away from 1K is the junior. Gray back in transition the other way. and throws it away. And turnovers, Megan, are what cost Miami a win at DePaul last week. The Hurricanes dominated every facet of that basketball game in Chicago, but had 23 turnovers and lost to the Blue Demons.
That's not going to cut it for Miami. They're going to definitely have to take care of the ball. And I think what's going to be really important, Miami likes to play up-tempo. A miss there by Slocum, but they're going to have to control pace and tempo in this game and get some easy looks.
There's a basket for Gray. Got to feel good for her to see the ball go back through the hole. 7-4 Beavers. Miami shot 12% better from the floor, was plus 18 in rebounding, and had more free throw makes than DePaul had attempts, yet still lost because of those giveaways. Hurricanes entered today 314th in the nation in turnovers, averaging 20.6 a game.
And a lot of those turnovers are mindless turnovers. Beatrice, again, stepping out. But for Miami, what they have to do, what they know serves them, and that is using their defense to create offense.
Slocum to the rim, kicks out. Kennedy Brown thinks about a shot. Wisely drives in instead, misses a turnaround. India Banks has the rebound, so slow it down a touch. Coming the other way, now finds Gray. Stops in the paint, puts it up, no good. Pivec will push it back the other way. Goes right past India Banks to the rim for a bucket.
That's what I'm talking about. Mikayla Pivec, her teammates like to call her Mick Pivec. She is relentless in her offensive attack. If you don't stop her, she will not stop. You've got to get 2 feet in front of her.
Pivec has played in all 110 games since getting to Corvallis, making her 101st consecutive start today in Coral Gables. Mikayla Gray with the corner 3, front rim no good. Slocum has it, coming the other way. Can Pivec get past Banks once again? Not this time. Nice job by the junior. But it's no matter. Pivec with some crafty ball handling finds space and puts it in off the glass once again.
When I said premier bucket getter, I meant every sense of that phrasing. She knows how to find the basket. She is relentless, and she's so savvy with how she gets to the rim.
11-4 Oregon State. They've scored 11 of the last 13 points after Miami had the opener. Nice finish at the rim by the freshman from Sweden, Sidi Baba.
I've been really impressed with the freshman's play, Sidi Baba, and just the poise that she plays with on the court. I think a dynamic piece for Coach Meyer.
Free ball from Pivec does not fall. The shortest player on the court, Mikayla Gray, has the rebound. Here's the junior sharpshooter, Kelsey Marshall, down low to Mom Premier. This is exactly where Miami wants her. Spin move, glass, it's good. Nice move from the redshirt senior. And as much as she can shoot, Megan, that's still her bread and butter.
That is her bread and butter. The footwork that she has, I mean, we'll probably go back and talk about that play again, but that is the essence of what Beatrice Montpremier brings to this team.
We'll talk about it again right here. Give you another look as we head into break. Oregon State 11, Miami 8 after this move from Beatrice Montpremier. Welcome back to the Watsco Center. Oregon State 11, Miami 8 in the first meeting between these two programs. You see Mikayla Pivec for Oregon State, part of just an elite backcourt. She and Destiny Slocum, not to mention Kat Tudor and Aaliyah Goodman. That's as good of a duo as you'll probably find anywhere in the country in terms of starting guards.
I mean, it is. Oregon State is ranked number 7 in the country for a reason, and I think it's because they have one of the most elite backcourts in the entire nation.
Kennedy Brown says, don't forget about the front court. Swats Beatrice Montpremier at the rim. Long three from Aaliyah Goodman, nothing but net. Entered today shooting 59.4% from 3, 7th best mark in the country. Shows why there.
She's lethal from that three-point line, and she has a knack for hitting buzzer beaters. I don't know if you had a chance to see any footage of her, but Aaliyah Goodman had a really fun shot at the end of the third quarter a few games ago.
India Banks answers right back with a 3 of her own. She's continued to expand her range throughout her college career after primarily being a driver and mid-range shooter as a freshman when she earned the nickname Big Shot Banks. Here's Tudor. You talk about a spot-up shooter, that's her.
And Corvallis like to call her Kat Tudor the shooter, and you'll see why. I mean, she has one of the purest shots from 3.
Kat Tudor has attempted 1 2-pointer this season. 1. She's 9 of 14 from 3. Excuse me, 8 of 14 from 3, 1 of 1 inside the arc. Tudor coming off an injury. You see that big brace on her left knee. Missed the final 21 games of the season last year. Had her medical redshirt appeal denied. Played in 38% of Oregon State's games. The mark for a medical is 30. She's a 43% three-point shooter in her career. Miami gets a stop on a missed jumper by Washington. Madison Washington, the senior from Vegas. Mom Premier called for a walk. See it again.
Well, Beatrice has so many options. Not sure which one she wanted to take there, I think is really the case. But a turnover. And I credit the Oregon State defense staying in front of her and making Beatrice commit.
Nice job by Kennedy Brown once again. 6'6" freshman out of Derby, Kansas. Top-ranked recruit in Oregon State history is Kennedy Brown, is number 20 in the ESPNW Hoop Girls 100. Pivec to Washington in the corner. Pump fake, get past Brianna Jackson, finishes at the rim.
It's a really nice drive by Washington. I love how she uses her size, able to put the ball on the floor and finish with control at the rim and absorb the contact. 4
freshmen on the court right now for Katie Meyer's Miami Hurricanes. Jackson down low to her fellow freshman post, Sydney Roby, and she is called for a 3-second violation.
That's a tough call for Roby because I like her interior presence. She posts big, gives the guards a wide target, and I think that's what Miami actually needs. A little bit more inside, outside, and moving the ball around to get some rhythm to their offense.
Roby, the unanimous AP Player of the Year in the state of Wisconsin 2 years ago at a Rufus King High School, 3-time All-State pick. The highest ranked member of Miami's outstanding 5-member freshman class. Destiny Slocum draws a foul, about 30 feet from the basket. Slocum, a powerful point guard, was the National Freshman of the Year a few years ago at the University of Maryland, and then transferred to Oregon State.
Well, the best word I can use to describe Destiny Slocum is dynamic. I mean, she is one of the best facilitators in the nation. She can score at will. And in talking to Coach Scott Rook, what he said about her is like now it's not only just her athletic ability, but now how she thinks the game is elite. Just a really high basketball IQ. She does so much for this team.
Banks gives to Johnson Sidi Baba. 3-ball finds nothing.
And to Coach Meyer's displeasure on that last play, I think what she was looking for is a little bit more movement with the ball around the perimeter and perhaps just executing simply their half-court offense.
Washington defended by Jackson, has Pivec coming off a screen and draws a foul. Looks like it'll go against Brianna Jackson. Indeed it does, freshman out of Virginia Beach.
Mikayla Pivec, you see her curling on this play. What she does so well is she moves without the ball. I mean, you have to chase her. She's in constant motion the entire game. There's no plays off for her.
Pivec absolutely does it all for Oregon State. Preseason first-team All-Pac-12 pick. Had 10 double-doubles a year ago.
I mean, she's on just about every national preseason watch list that there could possibly be. And, you know, just really one of the most elite guards.
3-ball is no good from Kat Tudor. That's her specialty. Anytime Miami gets a miss from her, it'll certainly take it. Washington again has space in the corner, and this time does hit the baseline jumper.
Madison Washington, or Maddie, she, you know, has come out in attack mode. She's recognizing that the defense is sagging off of her, and she is taking advantage of that.
7-point lead for the Beavers. Roby gives off to Gray, finds Marshall. Few veterans back into the game for the Hurricanes. A trio of junior guards, 3 of the 4 on Katie Meyer's roster, along with Taylor Mason, who we've yet to see today. Minute to go in the first quarter. Here's Destiny Slocum, a bucket away from 1,000. Step back 3 for 1K, no good. Rebound goes off the hands of Washington and over to Miami.
See Oregon State applying a little bit of soft pressure to Miami. In talking with Coach Rook before the game, he mentioned one of the keys to the game for Oregon State is being able to control the pace and tempo.
Brianna Jackson has some space, but not a shooter. Gives off to India Banks. Here's Mikayla Gray from the left wing, spin move. 10 to shoot. Down low, Roby travel.
The Miami offense is looking a little bit disjointed, Alex, and I think there's a lot of standing going around. You know, we see the ball going inside, but no movement as the defense collapses on Roby.
Roby checks out, as does Brianna Jackson. Miami goes back to the veterans in the front court. Mom Premier and the sophomore Jameer Houston, who opened the season as a starter for Miami. About a 2-second differential between shot and game clocks. Slocum defended by Gray. Oregon State can just about hold for one here.
There's so many playmakers on the floor. You have Kat Tudor stretching the floor, Mikayla Pivec, and Destiny Slocum, the playmaker she is.
Tudor, three ball, no good. Long rebound picked up by Banks, and her half-court heave nearly falls off the rim and out. Fortunate break for Oregon State, as that looked awfully good. An 18-11 lead for Scott Ruick's Beaver. Just 11 points for Miami in that first quarter. Hurricanes have really been struggling in this opening stretch here, Megan, against one of the top teams in the country.
They have, and the numbers don't, I don't think, tell the full story, but for Miami on the offensive end, they've really struggled to find their flow and their rhythm. And I think they're going to have to look to work inside out and let their defense generate some offense here as we start the second quarter.
Slocum out to Aaliyah Goodman. Miami probably fortunate not to be down more, as Taylor Jones spins and finishes over Mom Premier. Entering today, Oregon State was third in the nation, shooting 45% from three, and the Beavers went 2 of 11 in the first session. So this could be an even bigger deficit than the 9 points it is right now for the Hurricanes.
Absolutely. I think it's actually danger territory for Miami early on. Beatrice responds. She has been really the offense for Miami thus far. 6
of Miami's 13 points have come from the reigning first-team All-ACC performer. Montpelier defending Taylor Jones draws the walk out of the freshman from Dallas Christian.
Well, Taylor Jones, we talked about her a bit in the open for Oregon State. I mean, as a freshman, she's been so impressive, averaging 16 points per game. You know, she has come in and her training, think about this, her first game of her collegiate career is an exhibition game against the USA Women's National Team. Sylvia Fowles and the likes of Nneka Ogwumike, right? Asia Wilson on the inside. That's a heck of a training and welcoming
and then in her first actual game had a 20-point double-double. By the way, the other Pac-12 team in Oregon, for those that didn't see it, beat the U.S. national team. Those Ducks have one heck of a team.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think, honestly, the ACC and the Pac-12 are two of the most elite conferences in women's college basketball right now. So the talent is on display this afternoon here in the Watsco Center.
Mom Premier with the block. To give you a feel for how good the Pac-12 is, Oregon State is ranked 5th in the nation right now in the coaches poll, 7th in the AP poll. They were picked 3rd in the Pac-12. Oregon, of course, the consensus #1 team in the country. Stanford, who nearly lost to Cal Baptist last night, picked 2nd. Marshall's three is off the mark. Jameer Houston corrals the rebound.
I mean, it's crazy. It's going to be a battle, and it's early. We're getting to see what this team looks like in the non-conference play, and they can be an entirely different team as well as they proceed into conference play. And
we haven't even gotten into teams like UCLA, Arizona, Arizona State. Some really good teams out on the West Coast. Nearly a shot clock violation. Indeed it is. Would have been a turnover the other way if not. The ball was in an Oregon State hand. And Katie Meyer understandably frustrated by that possession.
Well, Coach Meyer bringing in Taylor Mason. And Taylor Mason's really known for what she does on the defensive end. I mean, she is a hound on defense. She harasses that basketball and has really provided a great spark for her team thus far this season. So we'll see what she can do to light a fire under her teammates.
Kennedy Brown, Miami gives her an open three yet again, and she misses yet again. You think at some point Scott Ruick will tell her to probably stop shooting from out there.
You know, actually, I'll tell you, Alex, that Kennedy Brown has the ability to step out and shoot a bit. Now, with that size, you would think that she would want to be grounded on the interior, but I think the danger of this Oregon State team is that there's so many people that are a threat from beyond that three-point line, including Kennedy Brown.
Big finish from India Banks at one end, and then the Hurricanes draw an offensive foul at the other end. Another look here.
A moving screen for sure. An opportunity for Miami to capitalize on that mistake.
Taylor Jones comes out. Aaliyah Goodman back into the ball game. Goodman and Pivec both top 25 in the country in assists per game and top 40 in assist turnover ratio. Montpremier another jumper, and it goes again. 4 baskets for Montpremier, 3 of them are jumpers.
Listen, if you're going to give her the space, she can rise and finish above you. I mean, not much you can do with that. You got to close out on her. The scouting report, the top of the scouting report for Oregon State, I'm pretty sure it says Beatrice Montpremier.
I would think that'll be the case for every team playing Miami this year.
Absolutely, but I mean, knowing how dynamic she is, she can step out and she's a threat with her back to the basket. A very difficult guard.
Montpremier very much in the mix as the best front court player in the country. She steps out to defend Tudor. Here's Slocum, open 3. It's good. And that puts Destiny Slocum over 1,000 points in her college career. In just her 74th game, she's at 1,001 points.
And that really, I think, Alex, speaks to just a sliver of what she can do for this team. I mean, she is an outstanding scorer, a playmaker, some of the best in the entire country. You see right here, Destiny Slocum lining it up and letting it fly is nothing but the bottom of the net, but she's equally as effective as a facilitator. She's a strong, I think, underrated defender.
Houston was just a half step too late getting out there for the closeout, and Slocum took advantage. Banks drives in, and she traveled. That's a few times today we've seen the Hurricanes lose their dribble and travel trying to get into the paint.
Yeah, and I think it actually speaks to the Oregon State defense. I mean, we just talked about what Destiny Slocum has done as a now 1,000-point scorer, but that was her defensive assignment. It's the little things, the intangibles that don't always show up in the stat sheet, in which how she really dominates the game and really contributes to her team.
Jasmine Simmons, a sophomore out of Australia, into the ball game for Oregon State. Attended the Australian Institute of Sport, where most of the talented Australian basketball players end up going. Miami men's basketball senior guard DJ Vasilovic, a graduate of that school as well. Katie Meyer doesn't seem overly fond of that call against her team. Trying to get an explanation.
Was I just trying to understand? Keeping the communication lines open, okay?
6:02 to go in the second quarter. 2-possession game, 6-point lead for Oregon State in this top 20 matchup. It's a travel on Pivec. Second consecutive top 20 matchup for Miami, and second in 3 games. Well, 3 in a row if you go by one poll. Missouri State's top 20 in one poll and unranked in the other. I don't know exactly how that happens. But anyway, both these teams have faced some stiff competition of late is what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Only common opponent for these teams is DePaul. Mentioned Miami dropped a narrow game as Taylor Mason knocks down a corner 3. Meanwhile, DePaul lost by 21 to Oregon State. That might have been a push-off on Slocum, no called.
Well, interesting enough, we're talking about the schedule. There was a game. Ooh.
That might have been a foul on Houston, not called.
Yeah, I think that there was some contact miss, and Mikayla Pivec able to finish. She's just doing what Mick Pivec does.
3 ball for the senior. Banks drives in and one. Nice finish by the junior out of the Peach State.
That's what India Banks can do. The lefty driving to the basket, gets the high finish off the glass, and even more than that, I think it was the emotional lift that her team needed, as things have fallen kind of flat over the past couple minutes for Miami. And India Banks has been someone, Alex, that's taken on more of a leadership role this season. Voted as a captain on this team, a co-captain. She's someone that they're looking to be a little bit more of a vocal leader and presence on the floor beyond what she does in the scoring column.
63% free throw shooter, misses the and one.
We were talking about the scheduling, right, for Miami, and Miami actually has to face another team that I think people are finding out about. Indiana got a big win against South Carolina yesterday, surprising a few folks. And Indiana is coming up on Miami's schedule just after their game tomorrow.
Some big upsets in women's basketball yesterday. Talk about that in just a little bit. We'll take a break here at the Watsco Center. Oregon State 26, Miami 22. Stick with us on ACC Network Extra. Mikayla Pivec, 9 points for Oregon State, leading the way.
Well, Mikayla Pivec, she's a multi-dimensional player, and what we talked about in the Open is just how relentless she is in her offensive attack, putting the ball on the floor. I think the game has slowed down with her. She's able to kind of pick and choose her spot. She shoots that ball from the three-point line with deep range and great efficiency. She has really been the motor for her team this afternoon.
Pivec on the bench right now. Miami has made 4 consecutive shots and pulled within 4 points of Oregon State. Taylor Mason's been a nice spark since she's come on. Slocum drives past her, finds Madison Washington, 5 to shoot. Slocum with 3 on the clock, defended by Houston. Gonna have to put it up. She does indeed and finishes. Destiny Slocum beats the shot clock buzzer.
And that's the difference, right, Alex? It's not just the play that she made, it's her situational awareness, right, and being able to execute in the moment.
Game high 10 points for the redshirt junior out of Meridian, Idaho. Mason, tough finish at the other end. 5 quick points for the junior from Georgia.
How gritty is she? I love Taylor Mason's game. I mean, she comes in locked in on defense, and what she does on offense is a bonus for this team.
Draws called for a foul there. Let's see it again.
But head down, just determined to get to the rim. It's one-on-one basketball, and she was just grittier and more determined in that play. I love what she brings to the floor, just how aggressive she is with her attack.
Well, you want to talk about the spark that Taylor Mason can be. Last year, had the biggest game of her career. 13 points and a couple three-pointers against Notre Dame, and led the Hurricanes to an upset of the eventual national runners-up, who, by the way, we talked about upsets in college basketball yesterday. The Fighting Irish went down to FGCU out in Cancun, a 9-point win for FGCU.
Yeah, I mean, we know here in Miami how good FGCU is, so wow.
3-ball, deep one over the outstretched arm of Beatrice Mompremier from Aaliyah Goodman.
My goodness, nice shot by Aaliyah Goodman. I mean, she's such a gamer.
Pump fake from Mason, now picks up her dribble and finds India Banks. Gets a screen from Jameer Houston, pull-up jumper's good. 6 of its last 6 from the floor is Miami. Meanwhile, Oregon State has made 4 in a row.
Well, Miami seems to have found their flow, and India Banks has found her rhythm, shooting the ball with great confidence. 9
points on 5 shots for Banks. Started every game as a freshman 2 years ago, as did Mikayla Gray. Nice pass into Slocum. Washington from the other corner. She continues to find space there, but has trouble knocking down her jumpers. Banks to Mompremier. She thinks about a 3 and fires, rolls around, no good. Can Houston grab the rebound? She cannot. Kelsey Marshall does and draws the foul.
A little bit of hustle there by both teams. You see the sense of urgency we're playing with. Bit of a scrum. Kelsey Marshall able to come up with the ball and actually pick up the foul as well on Oregon State.
2 pretty good three-point shooting teams, but combined shooting just 28% today. Oregon State 5 of 15, Miami 2 of 10.
I think they're going to have to find other ways to get it done, and for both teams, they have plenty of other weapons, not just that three-point ball, but the matchup on the inside, I think, was really the major talking point coming into this game. Taylor Jones versus Beatrice Mompremier. Kennedy Brown on the inside for Oregon State. What was she going to do?
Travel called on India Banks. That's at least 4 travels on Miami today.
When the turnovers being an area, we'll call it a point of emphasis for Miami. They're up to, I believe, 8 turnovers on the afternoon.
Katie Meyer thinks that Oregon State has been pushing off near that three-point line. Miami hasn't been getting the calls. Another silky smooth jumper from Destiny Slocum. She's got 12 points to go along with 3 assists and 3 boards.
I mean, Destiny Slocum, honestly, that was just a read by her. You can't go behind the screen. If you see the defense sag off, she's rising and firing and finishing.
7-point lead for number 7 as Kelsey Marshall's off-balance 3 rattles around and out. Chance to go back up by double figures here for Oregon State. Scott Ruick calls out a play for Slocum. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Pivec driving on Banks, loses control of the ball. Able to get it over to Tudor. Slocum with 10 to shoot. Gets a screen from Brown, who rolls towards the rim. Wide open 3 for Kat Tudor. She's going to hit that just about every time, and Katie Meyer wants a timeout. Oregon State with its biggest lead of the day.
Danger territory for Miami, the biggest lead of the day, and spurred by one of their emotional leaders in Kat Tudor. What she can do from behind the three-point line, stepping back, letting it fly, is nothing but.
Well, Miami made 6 shots in a row, had pulled back within 3, but the defense hasn't been there at the other end for the Hurricanes, as Oregon State's hit 6 of 7 shots and has a 10-point edge over the Hurricanes.
And that three-point ball can change things with the quickness, and Kat Tudor and the Oregon State Beavers have found their flow from 3.
Nice job there. Design play out of the timeout for Miami. Had Houston rolling to the rim. Nice pass from Montpremier. Houston draws the foul. She heads to the line for a pair. Let's see it again.
Yeah, Jameer Houston just using her pure athleticism, right? And the good post-to-post work between Beatrice Montpremier and Jameer Houston. I'd love to see Miami continue to do a little bit more of that.
Miami looking to recreate history on November 29th. The biggest non-conference win in program history was on this same date 7 years ago. The Hurricanes beat number 6 Penn State right here at the Watsco Center. At that point, the Bank United Center. Now, 7 years later, playing number 7 Oregon State, number 5 in the AP poll. Got its work cut out for it, does Miami, down 9 with 1:22 left in the first half.
Well, while Miami is down 9, I think they're without some of their major scoring leaders. Mikayla Gray, right? Very quiet so far in the first half, and Kelsey Marshall has not gotten going as she is capable of.
Travel called the other way. Well, if Gray is unable to score in the next 109, she would have 2 points in the last 60 minutes of basketball. Talking about a player who last year averaged 12.6 a game, and as a freshman was at 11.7. She's a big-time scorer.
You know what that tells me is that she has some scoring left in the chamber, so watch out. She is explosive.
Good point. Here is Gray. 53 seconds left in the half. Montpremier into the double team, can't finish. And after ball bounces around a bit, it is picked up by Aaliyah Goodman. Destiny Slocum coming the other way. 40 seconds left in the half. Miami has gone 3 minutes without a field goal. That after making 6 consecutive shots. Mason knocks it away, and she'll come the other way. Miami with 3-on-1, and she missed the layup, but got fouled by Kat Tudor, much to the dismay of the Oregon State bench.
Yeah, Coach Scott Rook definitely passionately disagrees with that call. You'll see in transition, though, Taylor Mason doing what she does best, getting out in the open floor.
Yeah, that wasn't a foul.
And it looks like there was a little bit of anticipation there by the referee in that last play, but Coach Rook is pretty much giving them the look like, you got to be kidding me.
And I know for Mason, when you're charging ahead in a fast break, you generally think, let me finish this here. She also had 2 teammates trailing right behind her, would have had uncontested layups. But you don't see the body in front of you. Understand Taylor's decision there.
You do.
And if she makes the free throw, it's no matter. Does not, though. But Houston grabs the board. Miami a chance to turn it into even more points. Marshall had an open 3. You could see she was frustrated with herself for not pulling it.
But understanding clock, time, score, wanting Miami to get the last shot and looking to execute.
Yeah. A travel called on Taylor Mason. And Marshall still upset as she comes back down the court, had an open look. And now instead it'll be Oregon State with a chance for the last shot.
It's difficult because you want to execute as your coach is directing you, but there's also a balance between players just playing within the flow of the game.
9 seconds left in the first half. It's Aaliyah Goodman for Oregon State. Madison Washington with 4 to go. Goodman with 2, pulls from 3, no good. And Oregon State will take an 8-point lead into the locker room. Beavers 36, Hurricanes 28. 20 minutes down, 20 to go at the Watsco Center on ACC Network Extra.
You can watch what happens in your life, and you go back to the things that meant the most to you.
You can feel it in the air, you feel it in your bones.
Cherish each moment because it goes by fast.
This place is different. Can't quite explain it.
Not a collection of campuses, a set of values.
To me, it's 3 things. Where you started, where you are, and where you're going to be.
Knowledge is power. Effort breeds success. Unity is strength. For 66 years, these principles have provided the foundation for records to be broken.
Get out there and play Florida State baseball.
Rivalries to grow, and legacies to be made in arenas of all kinds.
Good evening, I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline.
They arrive with promise.
KRZYCEWS.
They leave as proof. Ham, Palmer, Primetime, Jordan. Heisman winners.
From Boston College,
Lamar Jackson, University of Louisville.
First-round draft picks.
Zion Williamson from Duke University.
World Cup victors. National champions. And excellence in sports is paralleled by every other pursuit. Presidents, Nobel Prize recipients, and space voyagers.
We move through the world like shooting stars across the sky.
The ACC's preeminence is real.
Virginia is the national champion.
Not a concept, but community.
I loved every minute I spent at Duke.
Connected.
If you smell what the Canes are cooking.
From the open fields of Tobacco Road to the top of a golden dome. Many colors. One home. One place to see it all.
There's only two colors, garnet and gold.
It's a Canes thing. They won't understand.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Go Eagles.
Go Tigers. Go deep.
I root for Carolina over Duke. Please.
Let's go Panthers.
Welcome to ACC Network.
Welcome back to the Watsco Center. Alex Schwartz and Megan Perry coming to you live on ACC Network Extra. Oregon State 36, Miami 28 in this top 20 showdown. And Megan, it's been a fun first half, some shooting woes each way, but a lot of back and forth action between two of the top teams in the country.
It has been. It's been really up and down, especially for Miami. They found their offense kind of late into that first half. And for Oregon State, they were not shooting as well from behind the three-point line, but I think they found some balance in their offensive attack, and with Destiny Slocum and Mikayla Pivec.
Slocum got going late for Oregon State, turned a 3-point lead into a 10-point lead, now 8 at the break. Take a look at some stats for you through 20 minutes of action. And Megan, as we check this out, anything in particular that jumps out at you?
Well, I think points in the paint is a big number. I mean, the talking point coming into this game was how was Miami and Oregon State, how are they going to battle in the interior? And I think right now Oregon State's winning that battle. But I think as far as field goal percentage is concerned, 12 of 26 for Miami. That can improve. The rebounds are even, meaning the pace and tempo is moderately even for both. And I like that each team has 8 assists. Miami, I think, can do even better moving the ball. But Alex, the big difference for me really is the three-point line, right? Oregon State is 6 for 18. Miami's only 2 for 11. A lot of room for improvement from 3 for Miami going into the second half.
Mikayla Pivec played 14 minutes in the first half. She's plus 11, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, 4 or 5 from the field. She's done it all as we expected for the Beavers.
I mean, really, what haven't we said about Mikayla Pivec? She has been relentless is the word of the day I'm using to describe her. She's so gritty, and she never stops moving. She seems to respond and provide the answer that her team needs at every point in the game. She really has been the foundation of their offensive attack this afternoon, and I expect her to continue that into the second half.
Meanwhile, Destiny Slocum leads all players in points, rebounds, and assists with 12, 4, and 4, respectively. 5 of 7 from the floor as the redshirt junior.
Well, in our open, we talked about how elite this backcourt is, and they are backing it up with their play. Destiny Slocum, you see her in the open floor finishing, how she's able to just kind of dictate what she wants in the offensive end. You see her from behind the three-point line. She's really showed us her full offensive arsenal as she picks and chooses her points on the floor, rises and finishes with ease, and is able to just kind of provide her team the lift, scoring at the time that they need it most. I think she's really one of the larger reasons for this lead that they have at halftime.
Beatrice Montpremier, 8 points for the Hurricanes, but Oregon State's done a good job on her defensively, 4 of 9 from the floor, and forced her to settle for some jumpers.
Yeah, Beatrice Montpremier has established herself in the interior, but she's kind of settled for more shots on the perimeter. I think they want to see her get down on the block and be a little bit more aggressive, getting to the rim, picking up fouls, and attacking the offensive glass. I think that's really where Beatrice is the most dangerous, and Oregon State has kind of done a good job of neutralizing her on the glass in the first half.
We'll see if Miami can do a better job of getting Montpremier the ball in the low blocks in the second half. Coming up when we come back, Oregon State 36, Miami 28 at the break in Coral Gables. Welcome back to the Watsco Center. Alex Schwartz and Megan Perry coming to you live on ACC Network Extra. Halftime of a top 20 showdown between the number 7 Oregon State Beavers and the number 19 Miami Hurricanes. Scott Ruick has led the Beavers to 6 consecutive NCAA tournaments during his tenure in Corvallis. Heck of a tenure, heck of a resume for Ruick. 210 wins in 10 years, a Final Four, 2 Elite Eights, 3 Pac-12 regular season titles. Meanwhile, Miami looking to make it 6 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances as well. 5 straight for Katie Meyer's bunch, the longest streak in program history. 281 wins in her 15 seasons at the U. Canes have won 9. Those 9 20-win seasons, by the way, all come in the last decade. These are 2 programs that, thanks very much to the coaches currently leading them, have become perennial contenders on a national level.
Absolutely. You took the words actually right out of my mouth. I think both coaches have been so special because they really have engineered accelerated turnarounds for the programs that they took over. And I think, you know, both teams now on the national stage, and that has a lot to do with the winning culture and the precedent that, you know, 2 of what I consider some of the brightest minds and coaches in the game.
Second half is underway. Miami will start with the ball, looking to make this a 2-possession game. Elena Johnson-C. Baba did not play all that much in the first half, but she is back in. Kelsey Marshall, 3-ball off the left side of the rim, no good. And Oregon State's got a chance to go back up by double figures.
Well, while it didn't while that shot did not fall for Kelsey Marshall, that was intentional, drawn up by design by Coach Meyer to get her going. Kelsey Marshall is an integral piece of the Hurricane offense.
Kennedy Brown was 2 of 15 from deep on the season before that triple. Knocks it down, and it's the largest lead of the day for Oregon State, 11 points. India Banks finishes at the other end, but called for an offensive foul. Let's see that triple again from Brown, the freshman from Kansas.
Well, Kennedy Brown, despite her 6'6" frame, she's actually more perimeter-oriented than you might think and has the ability to knock it down and stretch that defense.
Brown, one of 4 players on Oregon State's roster 6'6" or above. 2 of them are injured and unavailable, both of whom are 6'9". Slocum, corner 3. Back-to-back 3-balls, and it's a 14-point lead for the Beavers. Slocum's got 15 on 8 shots.
Destiny Slocum is really playing at a high level for her team right now. And you talked about the size. I mean, the size for Oregon State, it's real. When you look at the roster, you think you're looking at a men's basketball roster for sure.
2 6'9s, a 6'7", and a 6'6". Another one! Back-to-back-to-back 3s. The latter 2 by Destiny Slocum. She has 18, and the Beavers lead by 17. A quick timeout by Katie Meyer. All Oregon State to open the second half. here at the Watsco Center. Well, one of the three best three-point shooting teams in the country, Oregon State, started out ice cold from beyond the arc. You knew the Beavers would get going from deep at some point, and that has absolutely happened after starting 2 of 11 in the first quarter from 3. Oregon State is 7 of 9 since then from long range, now 9 of 20 overall, right at 45%, which is 1/10 of a percentage point off their season mark.
My goodness. I mean, that's a lot of numbers. What I can tell you is that they're shooting the ball well from the three-point line, but Miami's got to respond, and they've done so through the likes of their AP All-American Beatrice Montpremier putting the ball on the ground and getting to work. She picks up the foul, able to score as well, finish that on that play.
Miami counters with an old-fashioned three-point play after Oregon State hit back-to-back-to-back threes to start the second half. Slocum is 4 of 6 from deep on her own, 7 of 9 overall for the former Maryland Terrapin.
Well, Miami's going to have to get busy on defense. We see what they're doing, picking up full court, applying a little bit more pressure, which is the Miami basketball, what we're typically used to seeing from them.
Another steal for Taylor Mason, and she draws the foul on Kennedy Brown. You said it when she came in, Megan. She's really known for her defense, and she's helped out on that end for sure.
I'm going to call her nickname Hands, because that's what she does. I mean, she knows how to get the ball. You put it out there as cookies all day, she's going to take it, and she's able to do something with it on the other end of the floor.
Her older brother, Nate, was a first-team All-Big Ten player at the University of Minnesota.
So it runs in the family. And Taylor Mason, I mean, it's the energy, it's the spark, it's the intensity that she brings to the floor, and that is contagious amongst her teammates.
Montpremier looking for something to do with the ball and eventually throws it away.
Well, it's difficult. So you see the defense collapse on Beatrice Montpremier. I mean, all 4 players around her have their eye on her. So her teammates, Beatrice has to see her teammates move and cut and find the gaps.
Hurricanes going into a full court press here. 4 white jerseys on that side of the court. Oregon State able to beat it. Goodman nearly lost her dribble after she crossed the timeline. How about that finish from Mikayla Pivec? She's in the double figures.
A great finish by Mikayla Pivec, and look how Beatrice Montpremier sprints down the floor. She's hungry. The big girl wants the ball.
7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Oregon State up by 16. Mason to the rim, can't finish. Montpremier, O-board, put back, rolls around and falls through. She's got a baker's dozen.
That's their bread and butter. Beatrice Montpremier, especially on that offensive glass, she definitely does work there, and I think that's where she can find a lot of success very quickly to help get her team back up to speed.
Slocum defended by Houston. Now to Pivec with Johnson Sidi Baba on her. Pull-up jumper off the back rim, no good. The freshman comes down with it. He'll slow it up a little bit. Banks had Montpremier in front of the defense. Didn't see her. Johnson Sidi Baba for 3. No good. And the rebound rolls around, goes off a black jersey. It'll stick with Miami.
Well, Beatrice Montpremier has picked up the speed of the game. I mean, she's running the floor, and I think that's what makes her really different and special is her ability to get up and down. She loves to go in transition, and Miami's got to find her because she's leaking out and she's not getting the ball.
Will she take a 3? She will. Her 3rd attempt of the day, an air ball.
Not exactly what she was hoping for, but trust and believe. I think she'll be able to make up for it. She'll have additional looks.
Montpremier entered today 4 of 6 from long range on the season. She is 0 of 3 today. In her first 3 collegiate seasons, she'd attempted just 3 three-pointers. Took none in 2 years at Baylor. Slocum into the corner to Pivec, pull-up jumper, no good.
Well, Alex, you mentioned Beatrice Montpremier, and where she's grown her game is around the perimeter. She wants to expand that shot chart, and you got to take them to make them, right?
Sure do. Another travel called on the Hurricanes.
I think Miami is just trying to play a little bit too fast. The difference between playing accelerated, right, and with a quickness, but not playing in a hurry. They just seem to be a half a step too quick and a little frazzled.
Destiny Slocum comes out. That's a welcome sight for the Hurricanes. Madison Washington is in. Washington out of Bishop Gorman High School, same school as Miami's football trio out of Vegas. 3 ball from the corner. Kat Tudor, she knew it was good the second she let it go. And it's a 17-point edge for Oregon State.
I mean, Kat Tudor is practically automatic from the three-point line. You know, you give her space, she can line it up, lets it fly. It's usually nothing but the bottom of the net.
57% three-point shooter on the season entering today. There you see Oregon State closing in on that number 2 spot as Montpremier unable to draw the foul. And ball go to Oregon State.
That's a call that Beatrice Montpremier is used to getting, and I have a feeling it's something that Oregon State really closely scouted, because you see in that play that the bigs just really backed up for Oregon State. They didn't try to fight Beatrice, they just let her bulge her way in there and challenge her to finish.
Oregon State easily beats the press, and by the way, as Goodman pulls from 3 again, no good. Pivec gets the board. This is a team that doesn't just make threes, it makes shots from everywhere. Oregon State shooting 52.9% from the field entering today's game, the second best mark in the country.
I mean, tremendous efficiency shooting the basketball. You see how they stretch the floor at all positions.
Foul called on Washington. Montpremier draws it. And we will take a quick break here. Oregon State has come out firing on all cylinders in the third quarter at the Watsco Center. Well, it's been raining threes for Oregon State here at the Watsco Center. 10 triples on the afternoon for the Beavers.
Well, so far in this third quarter, they're 4 of 6, and they're getting the ball into the hands of their best shooters. Kat Tudor, the shooter for Oregon State, Destiny Slocum. I mean, they've been hot from the three-point line, and we've talked about it, how Oregon State's really difficult to guard because they can stretch the floor at just about every position. I believe just about everyone but maybe Taylor Jones has that green light from the three-point line.
Meanwhile, Miami is 2 of 14 from beyond the arc, so that tells you the story right there. Here's Mikayla Gray. She's got just 2 points on the day after going scoreless at DePaul. Sidi Baba pull-up jumper does not fall, but she draws the foul, head to the line for a pair.
I like that Sidi Baba is looking to come out and attack, but as you mentioned, you know, 2 big pieces of the Miami Hurricanes offense usually are Mikayla Gray and Kelsey Marshall, both of which are stuck at 2 points this afternoon. So Miami looking for offense in places that might be a little unfamiliar to them.
Tough to win against an elite team when your secondary scorers aren't scoring.
Absolutely. I mean, Miami has really prided themselves on the balance of their offensive attack when they're at their best. And this evening, they're going to be looking for that scoring to come from other places.
Miami lost the program's leader in both three-point percentage and field goal percentage from last year's roster. Laura Cornelius, top three-point shooter in Hurricane history, and Mesa Hoff, the top field goal percentage shooter in Hurricane history. Each of them has departed.
And not only just what they did on paper, but their leadership.
Yeah.
Alex, I mean, Coach Meyer can talk to you for days about the tremendous gaps that they filled as coaches.
Another one from Tudor.
Yikes. Kat Tudor, I mean, when she gets into her flow, there's nothing you can do about it, to tell you the truth. I mean, the basket is wide as the ocean for her.
Miami can't score at the other end. Oregon State outscoring the Hurricanes 17-6 in the third quarter, make it 19-6. An easy finish for Madison, Washington. And this has turned into a bit of a rout at the Watsco Center. It's 55-34 Oregon State. The Beavers are showing why they are a Final Four contender.
Well, why the scoring margin might be a little bit intimidating at the moment, Miami has lots of time left in this game to respond.
Sure.
So I think the test and what Coach Meyer is looking for is who's going to step up.
Mikayla Gray will head to the free throw line.
Perhaps that gets her going a little bit. Mikayla Gray just, we said, a very streaky but explosive scorer. Always in attack mode. Feels the defender on her right hip and just elevates, and now we'll get 2 shots at the line.
67% free throw shooter this year. Was much better from the line last year, although of course it's been a small sample size this year. She was at 78% a year ago. Former Gatorade Player of the Year, state of Maryland, is Mikayla Gray.
And here comes the full court pressure. And Oregon State is, very well equipped to handle this full court pressure. Both teams are, and having faced DePaul as a common opponent, you don't get much more practice than that. In the way that the Blue Demons pressure the basketball.
Kennedy Brown draws a foul on Brianna Jackson. Well, so my team that's also comfortable pressing. It's something that Katie Myers used quite a bit throughout her tenure.
Part of this team's identity, and Mikayla Pivec just picking up where she left off. And you would maybe think, Alex, we talked a little bit off air about this, the fact that this is Oregon State's first road game of the season. They played in the WNIT tournament, had a chance to host that championship game. This is their first opportunity since going to Italy over the summer that they have traveled together.
And this is actually an Oregon State team that's really played a lot better at home than on the road over the last years. Now, that's the case for most teams. They're generally better at home, but the contrast has been really significant for Scott Ruick's club. They're 37-3 at home over the last 2+ seasons, 14-8 in true road games. Now, part of that also is a credit to the great basketball fans out in Corvallis, but that's a massive differential.
It absolutely is. I mean, the X factor is definitely the fan base in Corvallis, which I experienced firsthand just a few weeks ago. They rally like none other out there. But I think what I'm seeing from this team here is that, okay, you're battle tested on the road, and you've so far passing the test. This team has learned a lot of early lessons, I think, with the opportunity to talk with, learn from, and play against the women's national team. I think that was big for this Oregon State Beavers team.
Miami, of course, also had the opportunity to interact with the U.S. women's national team in a different capacity this summer as Jackson fouls Pivec. The team was practicing here for 3 days. Take another look at the foul here on the freshman forward. And 2 Miami players actually, they were in need of bodies, and 2 Hurricanes took part in that practice. Beatrice Montpremier and Mikayla Gray.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, these 2 teams have a lot in common in how they spent a lot of their, we'll call it off-season, right? Having USA basketball training camp before the America Cup here at the Watsco Center. Mikayla Gray, Beatrice Montpremier having the opportunity to practice with, play alongside of, the world's most elite basketball players. And then in Corvallis, right, the U.S. women's national team played an exhibition game there. And then both of these teams had the opportunity to kind of work to gel and hone their team chemistry and skills in Italy, both taking 10+ day tours through the countryside of Italy, which sounds amazing.
Sure does. Pivec back to the line for her second attempt. 70% free throw shooter, knocks them both down. Miami's missed 6 consecutive shots from the floor and has gone over 5 minutes without a field goal.
Well, Miami's just searching for answers right now, but I do like what they are doing on offense. They're trying to push the ball, right? They're best when they're in the open floor, and getting an easy shot just might get Mikayla Gray going and her teammates going a bit.
Beatrice Montpremier with looks like maybe a heating pad on her leg there. Hopefully nothing serious. Would think if it was, she'd probably be back in the locker room instead of her leg extended out onto the court. But hopefully nothing major, just resting it up a little bit.
Usually when you see, and I'm no trainer, but when you see heat, that's usually a good thing, meaning you're trying to keep it loose as opposed to ice when you're trying to reduce some sort of inflammation that can be problematic.
Good point. Kelsey Marshall with the steal in the end one. Gets the Miami bench fired up. You got to start to come back somewhere, right?
Absolutely, and we talked about it in the open floor, in transition, defense creating offense. Kelsey Marshall exploding to the basket, finishing at the rim with contact. The opportunity for the and one.
This is an Oregon State team that, interestingly, actually had opponents stealing the ball way more last year than it came up with steals. And for a team that says backcourt heavy, you wouldn't expect that. But last year, Oregon State had 131 steals, and its opponents had 218. Which is nearly twice as many. So they are susceptible to giving the ball away and don't really take it back via the steal.
That's incredible. And it's like, what do you do with that? I think you make up for it with that three-point ball.
Yeah,
I think that's what
right.
they did. They're like, we'll just shoot it more and we'll shoot it better. this is an Oregon State team that comes in with high expectations, I think, on them. Obviously, the number 7 ranking, but they're looking to not only get back to the Sweet 16, but to advance. They have their eyes set on the Final Four this season.
And it's a team that certainly has the ability to get there. Travel called on Kennedy Brown. 6 straight NCAA tournament second-round appearances for Oregon State. 4 straight Sweet 16s. Twice going to the Elite Eight and once to the Final Four back in 2016. That was that year that the seeds just went all over the place. Oregon State, Washington, and Syracuse all went to the Final Four. Although the non-crazy thing was, of course, UConn winning the national championship, as the Huskies tend to do. Got on a little bit of a drought, though. 3 years without a title in stores. It feels like a long time for Gino Auriemma, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, obviously they want to win, but I think that Gino Auriemma, what he's building, what he's crafting with Chris Daly there as his associate head coach and assistant for years, they like it when it's quiet. Because, you can never count out the Huskies. I don't care what they have on the floor, they are always a contender.
Slocum misses the buzzer beater, and the lead will stay at 18 heading into the final 10 minutes of play. It was all Oregon State in that third quarter, 23-13. The Beavers outscored the Kings. We'll take a quick break. Got the final 10 minutes action coming up. Welcome back to the Watsco Center. Katie Meyer's squad. See what it's got coming up before the holiday break. That Indiana game, of course, is the big one. Mentioned it earlier, Megan. Hoosiers took down South Carolina yesterday.
Yeah, you've got to highlight Indiana on December 4th as I think one of the bigger tune-ups before Miami, one of their last big tune-ups before Miami enters conference play is Indiana defeated Dawn Staley and her South Carolina Gamecocks. A big upset yesterday afternoon. So putting a little bit more, I think, behind that matchup between Miami and Indiana coming up.
Miami of Ohio will be a tough task tomorrow as well for the Hurricanes in the Battle of Miami. That team's won 40-plus games in the last 2 years.
Mikayla Gray really struggling. I mean, I see her trying to really just do the most. And you got to keep playing, sometimes just play through it. It's a rough patch for her, but she'll come out of it at some point in time. But I think really this Thanksgiving tournament is a great opportunity for Miami to kind of see where they are. Tremendous test, some outstanding competition, right? And not only just Oregon State, but in Miami, Ohio, which we'll see tomorrow.
Deep three from Aaliyah Goodman. Doesn't even touch the rim.
Listen, deep by whose standards? Aaliyah Goodman, she's good from half court and beyond. I mean, I really think she has what you call a step on the floor range.
Got some big-time shooters on this squad. Goodman and Tudor especially, but Slocum's shown what she can do from long range. 4 makes from beyond the arc. Marshall tries to dump it off to Montpremier, can't handle it.
Miami's still fighting. Beatrice Montpremier diving on the ground, trying to save each possession. While Miami is not out of it, by no means is this game over, but they've got to start playing with a little bit more, just a little bit looser, have some fun, right? So I think when they're playing that way, they're playing at their best.
Here's Montpremier down low. Can't finish. 6 of 15 from the floor is Montpremier.
Well, Beatrice Montpremier has really had her work cut out for her. As we see Taylor Jones finishing on the inside, I'm going to say, because she's had to really perform at both the offensive and defensive end. You see Beatrice on defense just recovering late, not able to get there in time for the help. And was called for the foul. But Oregon State has made her really work on offense. She's the go-to player, and on defense, having to guard the likes of Taylor Jones and Kennedy Brown the inside. They both have the size, the girth, the speed to keep up with Beatrice.
Rebound number 6 for the Miami native. Here's Kenza Salgué, freshman out of France, first French woman to play for Katie Meyer. Marshall pulls from 3 off the front rim. Hurricanes have just been unable to get going from deep. 2 makes on 16 attempts. Spin move and finish for Taylor Jones.
And that's where they're so difficult, Alex. That's why it's so difficult. We talked about the length of Oregon State in that possession against Jameer Houston. You see just the pure dominance on the inside by the Beavers.
25-point lead for Oregon State. It was an 8-point game at halftime. Miami had it down to 3 late in the third quarter even, with just a sharp-shooting barrage, especially from beyond the arc, has flipped this game. Under 8 to play. Jumper from Banks is good. She's got a great mid-range pull-up.
She does, and I love how she has the elevation on her shot. How she's able to rise and fire, I think, is really special.
Quietly put together a very nice game has India Banks. 11 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 5 of 7 from the floor, made her only 3.
An impressive line.
Brown kicks out to Slocum, corner 3. Off the mark. Nice tip out on the rebound by Brown. Pivec will try a 3. No good. Rebound comes out to Banks, I should say. She's pushing it the other way. Can't finish. Rebound by Mom Premier. Closing in on a double-double, 3 rebounds away.
Well, Beatrice Montpremier is normally a double-double machine, and she's having to work a little bit harder for it this afternoon. There's still an opportunity to grab them. Beatrice Montpremier, just tremendous footwork on the inside with the spin, not able to really finish in that play, but I like the attack.
Foul goes on Brianna Jackson. She's got 4 fouls in 10 minutes.
Well, Brianna Jackson, I think she's been impressive early, but I think what this matchup might be exploiting is kind of just some of the inexperience, right? And that come with freshmen. Yeah. I mean, to tell you the truth, you can't do anything about that. Experience is really you have it or you don't. These are the growing pains.
Miami with 7 freshmen and sophomores. Oregon State with 7 juniors and seniors.
And that can at times be the difference maker. And at this level of basketball, and we're just playing in the Pac-12 and the ACC, you don't have a lot of time for a learning curve.
Another deep ball from Aaliyah Goodman. This one does not fall, but Slocum has the rebound. Brown will try a 3. She's 1 of 6 from deep. 1 of 7 now, actually. Hurricanes done a good job against her. 1 of 9 overall from the field. Banks drives in, draws a foul on Taylor Jones. Miami's limited the Oregon State front court. Brown and Jones have combined for 9 points. It's the Oregon State guards that have dominated the game.
Yeah, it is pick your poison, though, with Oregon State. They just have tremendous balance. It's who can you contain is really the game that you're playing on defense against the Beavers.
Banks step into the free throw line. Missed her only attempt of the day. Now 0 of 2 from the stripe. Second attempt is good. Hurricanes will stay in that press. Slocum will reset the offense with Yasmin Chang guarding her. Gets a screen from Jones. Drives in with 12 to shoot. Kicks it out to Goodman, under 10 to shoot now. Pivec, stop and pop is good.
That mid-range game is so pretty. And I think that's what really separates her and makes her the elite guard that she is. A lot of players would have gone to the rim, over-dribbled or penetrated, but she just rises and fires with control.
17 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 of 11 from the floor. Have a day, Mikayla Pivec.
Oh my goodness.
Brianna Jackson with an offensive rebound, and she gets fouled.
Good activity by Brianna Jackson, and that's what she really does so well. She's aggressive on the offensive glass when she's kind of at her best, and I like to see her attacking the glass. creating opportunities for herself and for her teammates.
Jackson made her mark right when she got to campus. Impressed with her play and practices right off the bat. Had a nice showing in Italy, especially with Beatrice Montpremier not playing. She was representing the United States at an international tournament. Came away with a silver medal. Have not seen Montpremier come back into the ball game over the past few minutes.
Yeah, I don't think Coach Meyer's quite done with Beatrice. I think there's just 5 and change left in the ball game, but we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
She's not using that heating pad anymore, so that's good.
Exactly.
Has been in once since then. In those last few minutes that she's been in. Ticking towards 5 to go in this one. Pivec to Washington, nice pass. Might have been partially blocked, and Bree Jackson grabs the board. Nice take, but can't finish. Freshman out of Fort Myers. Jump ball will go to Oregon State, and we will take our final media timeout of the day. 4:57 left, Oregon State 68, Miami 47. Welcome back to the Watsco Center. Oregon State 68, Miami 46. Look at the Pac-12 preseason poll. That trio at the top is awfully good.
I mean, that's so tough. Oregon, we see, of course, at the top of the Pac-12, followed by Stanford, and then Oregon State picked to finish 3rd. I mean, as far as teams are picked to finish 3rd in their conference, this is probably the best team that I've seen picked with that positioning. But as we said earlier, it really speaks to just how tough that conference is. The teams coming out of there. We're going to see, and I think we could see at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 teams in the NCAA tournament from the Pac-12 this year.
Arizona was ranked for the first time in a long time. Bree Jackson gets a steal. Miami numbers and an easy layup for Jackson. Got a nice 4th quarter here.
That captures what Breonna Jackson can really do. She's athletic. She's great in the open floor. She's active on the defense. You can use her at the top of the press if you like to. And she can finish on offense. Overall, we talked about, Alex, the turnovers for Miami, and I would say they've done a pretty good job. Just 14 turnovers this afternoon, but the difference in this game has really just been that 3-point ball and how that's really separated Oregon State from Miami, just how they've been shooting so hot.
Another finish for Pivec. She's got 19. Slocum has 18. Yasmin Chang able to come up with a steal in the backcourt. Dumps off to Breonna Jackson, freshman to freshman, and Jackson finishes.
It's a great combination, playing really strong basketball. I like Chang because she's come in pestering the ball, and Breonna Jackson just playing at a high level right now.
Chang travels. It's at least 6 travels against the Hurricanes today.
And that really speaks to what I said about them playing in a hurry. You have to really be grounded. The travel is a point of emphasis, it seems like every year for the referees in women's college basketball, but Chang just having to adjust as a freshman, adjusting to the speed and the pace and tempo of the collegiate game.
Under 3 minutes to go, Oregon State on its way to a 3rd consecutive top 20 win. Kennedy Brown will head to the line. See it again.
Kennedy Brown just having the inside position in that last play. And now with the opportunity to convert at the free throw line.
Breonna Jackson, I think, fouled out there.
Substitution reporting for Sydney Roby.
Sydney Roby will replace her.
Brianna Jackson fouling out, but I think that she made the most of her minutes and did well with what she had with that fourth foul there.
Brown misses her first free throw. Second one off the mark as well. Kenza Salge will lead the Miami offense. 4 freshmen and Taylor Mason on the court for the Hurricanes. Here is Mason, defended by Aaliyah Goodman. Salga comes off a screen and takes a 3. Front rim, no good. 2 of 17 from long range is Miami. Has not hit a 3 in the second half.
Well, and in this team's history, if you're following the Hurricanes basketball, that's been an area where they've struggled. When the three-point ball has not fallen, they've got to find other ways to get their offense going. And that really, most recently, has come through the interior play of Beatrice Montpremier, who has had a good night, but not her best night.
Off the ball, foul called on Sydney Roby. Kennedy Brown will head back to the free throw line. McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand Classic All-American, Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year. Big time get for Scott Ruick out of the state of Kansas was Brown.
Well, she has all the accolades and all the titles, and she's backing it up. Coming in here as a freshman and just what she's been able to do early on to get some really healthy competition.
7 rebounds today. From a basketball family, her mom Danica played a couple of years of ball at Michigan State. Two minutes to go. Destiny Harden getting ready to check in for the first time today. Mason pulls a 3 and hits it. She's had a really nice game. 9 points, 3 of 4 from the floor, a couple steals. Hit both of her 3s as well.
What I like about Taylor Mason is she shows up the same way regardless of what's going on. She comes into the game, whether her team is leading, whether they're down, she brings the same energy, focus, and intensity, and I think that's the reason for her success.
She checks out for Harden, so all 5 players on the court for Miami right now did not play a season ago. 4 freshmen and Harden, who sat out as a transfer from West Virginia. Meanwhile, mostly still starters in the game for Oregon State. 4 of the opening 5 on the court for Scott Ruick's club. Yasmin Chang's 3 is no good. You'd think maybe this is a situation for Oregon State to get some reserves, some work. Probably going to need them at some point this season. Already had 1 injury. Taya Corusdale expected to be out for the season with a hamstring injury. But Ruick electing to stick with his starters, get them some more action against a quality opponent.
Well, I think also Coach Rook just trusting his team, knowing that they understand how to play in these waning minutes of this game. And to tell you the truth, they traveled all the way across the country, wanting them to get their legs up under them. And just that's the point of this, to make sure that you continue to stay in rhythm. That's where you get it, by playing.
Beavers are down 3 players due to injury. Corusdale got hurt recently, expected to miss the year, as I mentioned. Jelena Mitrovic is hurt, and Andrea Aquino has been unable to play due to injury since getting on campus last year. Aquino and Mitrovic both 6'9".
Listen, this team has been hit hard by the injury bug, but the scary part about this for their opponents is, like, they can get even better. Yep. They can get bigger and better.
Yep.
My goodness.
Destiny Slocum will head to the stripe, looking to tally a 20-point game. AP and WBCA honorable mention All-American last year in her first season playing for the Beavers. Former top 10 recruit.
Destiny Slocum, and I think there are actually a couple names on this Oregon State roster that you're going to hear called during the WNBA draft coming up. I can tell you for sure there's some coaches and GMs that have their eyes on some members of this team, and just a very talented roster.
Well, Slocum makes both free throws, and Sydney Roby gets called for a foul, I guess going for a rebound that didn't come. So Mikayla Pivec will head to the free throw line. Now she's got a chance to put up a 20 spot. And she does indeed. Slocum and Pivec with 20 apiece.
Well, Oregon State has 4 starters that average double figures, so that just tells you how difficult it is and what a balanced offensive attack this team has.
41 combined points from those 2 Oregon State guards, and they're shooting 15 of 23 from the field.
Well, Oregon State's had a good afternoon, and I don't think that Miami has played bad at all. I think Coach Myers really learned kind of what her team still needs to work on, but I think that they're playing without some of their players being at their best. Mikayla Gray has not been the scorer that we know her to be, and Kelsey Marshall didn't have a great afternoon after coming off a game where she was outstanding. So a lot to learn and to pick up on, but I think still a great test for Miami here this afternoon.
About a half-second differential between the shot and game clock here. The last possession for Oregon State. And maybe the final one of the game. Here's Aaliyah Goodman. Offensive foul called on Kennedy Brown, so Miami will end the game with the ball. Pivec will check out. Great day, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal in 34 minutes of action. She was fantastic.
An amazing stat line, and Mikayla Pivec just doing what she does best. That's a casual day in the office for Mick Pivec.
Destiny Harden puts it up from 3 on the final play of the game. No good. Hurricanes maybe fittingly end with a missed 3 after really struggling from beyond the arc. And 3-point shooting was the difference today. Oregon State goes 12 of 33, but had that stretch where they made 7 out of 9, while the Hurricanes finish 3 of 20. Backcourt, Slocum and Pivec, 41 points for the Beavers.
Well, we talked about it. The 3-point ball was the separating factor. I think that Miami did a pretty good job in the first half keeping up, but they were without some of their usual scorers and contributors this afternoon, just not showing up the way they're used to. In Oregon State, they're number 7 in the country for a reason, and they certainly played like it this afternoon.
3 consecutive top 20 wins for the Oregon State Beavers. These are 2 teams you'll expect to see in March. They've combined for 11 straight NCAA tournament berths. And the top 20 showdown goes to Oregon State. Final score for the final time. Oregon State 75, Miami 53. Before we head out of here, want to say thanks to a whole bunch of folks. Drew Thomas, Anthony Listoki, Craig White, Brad Canfield back in the control room. Our great camera ops, everyone else pushing graphics and making this broadcast happen. And of course, want to thank you, the viewer, for spending your Friday afternoon with us. So for Megan Perry, I'm Alex Short saying so long from the Watsco Center. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on ACC Network, download the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.